If you haven't done so already, you can find my deck profile for the finals of the ECL up in the card above, down in the description below, previous video on my channel, or ideally the one video before this on the playlist if you're watching then. But with that being said though, let's get right into the match. So Jade, Johnny, and I are competing for 3rd place here, and this is awesome. We got special permission from Dan to play it on the app here and to end up uploading it. So here, not the best hand. I didn't take a mulligan here because I do have the Nimbug, and at this point I was just thinking to myself, cool, the whole goal of this deck is just to get into the Stratomoth, and Nimbug is the best way to do it, and I've got 2 counter runes to do so. 2 Siracoon hurts, but Bag of Winds is actually quite nice. If I can strike Stratomoth here, I'm looking good. So here I just decided to go for it. I mean, I've got no better choice to go Nimbug, and here just to expend to be able to ascend it into the Siracoon in hand. And yep, this getting used to the timing here on the app, as of course this is my first time voicing over the app. So here I do choose to go Siracoon in attack position because of the Veritaqua, and just seeing if Johnny has a response, and unfortunately he does with the poison tipped arrow, but what can you do? So here I'm just hoping that I can stave off stuff with the face down counter runes, and then be able to find an Elestral next turn. So of course goes the Siracoon goes from the poison tipped arrow at the end of the turn, and Johnny just casts another Veritaqua. Here I'm debating whether or not I want a PTA, but even if I PTA, I'm still taking Spirit from the attack, so I decide to hold off on doing so since I do have the shield. So here I do take 1 for the 1, and then I do use the shield to bounce back 1 so I don't fall too far behind on board advantage, especially if Johnny ends up having a Tsunami. I mean, it doesn't really matter in this scenario, unfortunately, but that's kind of the idea here. So getting back into my turn, Aramare is great here, so I actually get to draw, but not draw, but can attack over the Veritaqua much better than if, say, if I, well, Pegas wouldn't have been terrible here, but it wouldn't have been great either. Here, I attempt to hit over the Veritaqua, and Johnny does have the Tsunami. So here, Johnny will be able to get a Veritaqua out and be able to destroy my Aramare and deal me 1 Spirit, but Spirits are actually pretty even here. Johnny is up by 1, does have another face down though, which is a bit concerning here. So double Veritaqua, of course, 1 gets to take it out. And here, I probably should have PTA'd, but I was like, I don't know if I really want to use it on a Veritaqua or if I want to wait and see what Johnny ends up throwing out. Because I do know that he is on the Majesea as per our gentleman's agreement here. And resting on your laurels, I ended up expecting to draw 1 because I really just want to find an Elestral. And Stratomoth hurts. So here, I'm really wishing I just had a Drops left because it would definitely help. So here I just laurels here. Since I do have the PT, I'm fine getting rid of another answer here. Now Johnny can't set up the Trident lock, but at this point he's got so few cards that even if he does have the Trident lock, or he either has to have Trident lock or Majesea here. So here he does end up sluggling. Actually, does he? Yeah, he does. Too few cards. So here I do Poison Tipped Arrow because I can keep myself off 1 damage and not fall further behind. Because at this point, it's kind of getting to the point where, does Johnny really need Majesea? I mean, look, the Spirit differential here, it's a 10 Spirit differential. Well, okay, that's not entirely true because he had to get rid of the Sluggle here. ALS isn't terrible. It isn't great. I would rather just find an Elestral because this is going to be expensive. So here, just casting it, I choose to do 1 Spirit here just to be able to get the single search because I don't think I can afford more than the single search. And I believe I just grabbed Sorlet here because Sorlet is the best option. It is the highest attack one I have and can hit over anything Johnny has. Though it's really not looking good here, honestly. Like, I am grasping at straws here. So I go Sorlet, and then Sorlet attack over the Veritaqua, and Johnny does end up having an answer. It is another Tsunami, so he'll easily be able to answer the Sorlet, and if he has another Elestral, I'm just falling further behind. So it's looking like it's pretty much it for the first game. I don't think there's too much else I could have done here. Probably should have taken a mulligan with this hand. This is the problem with going, oh yeah, another Sluggle hurts. It's just the Spirit differential is awful for this game. But I think this game shows that since I didn't practice this, I was kind of blinded into, all right, just push Stratomoth. That's my best bet. I just need to blindly turbo into it and see what happens here. And I probably should have just taken the mulligan and found something else to kind of start contesting the board before trying to go into Stratomoth. Ambrosia just helped me stabilize for a bit, but again, with such a huge Spirit differential, I don't think it'll end up mattering, especially since I don't actually have Elestral in hand. But I decided to play it out here because if you also weren't, I choose not to draw here because I want all the Spirits I can. But also, I don't remember if I said in the deck profile because I filmed the deck profile almost a week before actually filming this. It took me a bit to film this one, honestly, so I had to take 3, unfortunately. But Dan did actually not live stream, but live stream it in the Discord for people to watch, and fortunately Dan did not end up recording our match. But here, yeah, so as you see there, I just called it a game there. Like, not much I could do. But getting into game 2, I do get to go first. The coin toss does go through because the matches aren't set up in the app yet, but thankfully I won the coin toss because I was going to just go first, but Johnny would have selected it regardless because we're playing by match rules. So here, a much better hand. Unfortunately, no Nimbug. I would have much rather had a Nimbug to get started, so arguably could have just mulliganed here. Like, this is probably actually a really good bet. I probably should just be turboing into Stratomoth, but it's like, it's a playable hand, so normal logic dictates, keep it. What I was saying here is Dan was live streaming in the Discord as well, not on Twitch. Dan decided to try that out. Unfortunately, he did not end up recording it, so the Johnny and I's recordings are the only ones that are out there, so we get it from our points of view. So here I just shield the Molestation to keep the Sorlet on board. I figure just keeping up an Elestral on board is great. Now I will have to deal with the Molestation later, but Johnny will have to expend another Spirit to do so. Here, Pigus is great. Just pop the back row and attack in for 2, and if it's a Tsunami, so be it. So here, just ping it with the Pigus. Let's see what Johnny's got, and it is, in fact, a Tsunami, so I'll not be dealing any damage here. Unfortunately, but I can't change Soil back, so never mind, I can't hit it. Unfortunately, though, of course, Molestation can come back out, and I've got really no response to it. But here I actually decide to cast Atlantis, so it kind of decentivizes Johnny for going Molestation, or at least he can't keep the Molestation on board if he does do that. Kind of betting here that Johnny is not on Atlantis. A bit of a risky gamble, especially since he is actually on it. But at the same time, with no counter runes, I feel like I had to kind of gamble there a little bit to just kind of keep board presence with this deck, especially with the hand that I have. Laurels is dead right now. Sirikun could go into, but I wasn't too confident about that one. Didn't want to do it with the back row when I had a Pika. So Johnny, of course, goes Molestation, use the Molestation's effect to flip the Sorlet. And unfortunately, especially with Atlantis up now, here's where it really hurts. I do think in hindsight that was a wrong play, even if I didn't know Johnny had it. Just because, Trident as well. Yeah, that's right. Johnny's just using Tadpuff here, a great way just to kind of hit over my stuff and keep me off Elestrals on board and be up 2. It's very strong, honestly. So I do think that the island play was a mistake there. I probably should have held it. Like, yeah, he could still crash Molestation. So I don't think that's the most advantageous play there. So here, of course, I do have Laurels for the Tadpuff, thankfully, and I do draw the Sorlet, the perfect out for the Molestation. So this is already looking to be a lot closer game. Johnny's had to use a lot more spirits than me. And card advantage-wise, not too bad either. Johnny does use the Molestation's ability, and here he just destroys it before I can target the attack. That's fine. A lot of times we'll do that in-app, but for viewing experience, this doesn't always look the best. But yeah, Johnny just wanted... Oh, okay, he just wants to show what actually is going on, to be more clear. So here, he does choose to expend the Spirit to make me expend a Spirit as well, which, fair enough, so I have to use that Spirit to flip it. Johnny does have much better regeneration than I do. And here's a perfect example. An Ambrosia already, and we already know that he's running free Sluggle from the Gentleman's Agreement. So here, what does Johnny end up doing? Another Molestation. Oh, jeez, keep me off these Sorlets, and now I pretty much need to Sorlet out this Molestation here. Can I top deck one with a Sirikun in hand? We'll see. And Hydrake's actually not too bad here, because even if he switches with it, like, Hydrake still puts on pressure. So here I believe Johnny does choose to expend here to make it so that I would have to crash, and now it gives me an ample opportunity to go up into Pantera, because, oh, I forgot here to mention, I sided out exactly what I said it would. I sided out the Aramare for 2 Hydrake and a Twindra. That was all I did, though. So here, though, I choose not to attack just because I don't actually have the Pantera, and I don't think it's advantageous to have the Twindra out and use those extra spirits. So here, Johnny just goes into defense to stall me out. So here, I do draw, don't draw an Elester, so I expend to draw. Arguably, I could have just gone to Sirikun and tried to pressure Johnny, but he could hit over it with the Molestation, so I didn't want to do that. So expending to draw and stuff. I'm waiting to use the rest of the rolls, but Johnny is trying to keep me off of it. And I did find, I believe there's a PTA here. Here I choose to expend to draw one. I think I should have actually re-enchanted the Hydrake and try to push for it a bit sooner, because the PTA, I think I was just worried if Johnny switches Molestation to attack. That was why I didn't want to do that and try to put on the pressure. But with such low spirits, I think I probably should have been pressuring that a bit sooner. Do draw the Gorgon's Case, which is a nice out. And drops is also not great here, but with this kind of hand, might not be too bad. And here I'm just debating. And I ultimately decide to re-enchant Hydrake to go for that Stratomoth play. I decide, why not take a risk here? Go big or go home. Arguably better plays. Drops would have been nice just to shuffle those back in and try to find something, maybe like my third Sorlet. I believe I've already seen 2. That would be nice, but that's not the play I made there. I think there's definitely some arguably better plays, and I just don't know, because this is literally my second game with the deck. So here, Johnny does find another Ambrosia, helping him stabilize, so definitely not as advantageous of a position as I would like here. And, you know, now that I think about it, I could have just dropped back and used the Spirit from Hydrake. I know it sounds really weird, but looking at this board state, if the issue is Molestation, drops using a Spirit from the Hydrake, keep the Laurels, and I can then pop the Molestation here. So Johnny does play another Molestation in defense here, but I do decide to PTA it because I really just want to go on the Gar offensive and keep Johnny off Elestral. So it passes back to me, and Aeolus, not able, they can find me Elestral, but here I just decide to go for it. Let's just go Stratomoth, send straight into it, and see what happens here, because I need to try to force something. So here, I use Stratomoth's ability to start bouncing back. Johnny preemptively does that, so of course he bounces back all the same, including his own Stadium Rune. So now I am free to just hit over this Molstation and try to push again for game and just hope he doesn't have the, what was it, Bag of Winds. And here, actually, I almost opt to drops to try to find a Bag of Winds. But the problem is here, with only 4 spirits, I'd use up all my spirits. And at that point, Johnny could just keep walling up and until he draws some sort of out. And I can't allow that. So I just have to hope. Unfortunately, he does have the Laurels. And the game state's just completely been flipped on its head. Now Johnny's in the advantage spot here. I do have a back row, but with only 4 spirits, do I really want to be using 2 spirits on a Gorgon's Gaze while he still has 5? Not really. Foamy's really good here, though, just to make sure Johnny can keep an Elestral on board. So I'm not feeling great. And then, of course, he's got the 2 back row that I set last turn. So I'm not feeling too great at it. I take the 1 because I don't think it's worth using the 2. So pass it back to me. And here, Bag of Winds was 1 away. If I had just drawn that in place of the Aeolus, I would have felt golden there. But unfortunately, that's not what happens here. And here I actually do think I make a misplay that chat well called out when I check the Discord. So I opt to go Aeolus, thinking I can just find the Sorlet, and that's just going to be my best chance at surviving here. Just hope that wherever he has in the back row, it doesn't really matter. But chat called it. I should have dropped here, sent all the hand back, because ideally I would have found an Elestral, and more importantly, dig for those Ambrosias, because that's the best chance for me to kind of keep ahead, keep up spirits. But alas, as you can see, Johnny has Poison Tipped Arrow. Even before I cast out the Soil, he just kind of like, he knows that's what's coming if I'm using Aeolus here. And that's that pretty much. So definitely not a stellar performance by me in the finals. Very disappointed because, I mean, I made it this far and then just felt like I dropped the ball, but that's what happens when you don't practice. I mean, I chose not to make, I had a busy week, but I also chose not to make time because I probably could have made some time to test stuff, but that's just what happens. So is what it is. I do think that my week 4 match against Johnny was a lot better set up, but hey, I think this is good to show because it shows how the difference between practicing versus not practicing can be here overall. And plus, I mean, I got to play on the app. That's pretty awesome. I'd love to, I want to show it off. I mean, obviously once the app gets officially released, I'll be showing off a lot more, but to kind of get special permission to show it off is frankly awesome. So of course, special thanks to Dan for letting us play it on the app, and also him commentating over it was really awesome. Wish I could see it, but again, unfortunately, the game was not recorded on Dan's side, so we will never see what his commentary was. So, is what it is, but honestly, it'd probably just be like, what's Jacob doing? Which, yeah, what was I doing there? But also, make sure you check out Jay Johnny's channel. I'll have it linked down in the description below, where he posted his side of the gameplay. He posted a bit before mine, so it will definitely be up by the time this one is uploaded, because frankly, this one's going up late. Of course, if you're watching this in the future, it doesn't really matter, but for those of you who are catching up, I'm sorry it took so long for me to get this out. It's just been kind of crazy. I've been burnt out, so we're trying to get it out now about a week later. But also check out Wirtz and Baron's channel because they were playing for 1st and 2nd place. They've got their matches up there on their channels as well. Unfortunately, again, Dan was not recording, so we didn't see that. But I feel bad for harping on this enough because Dan already feels bad enough. And I mean, it happens. No shade on Dan, but definitely go check out Baron and Wirtz's side as well to see the finals match because it was honestly epic. And after this video, I am going to do a final wrap-up. I think I'll put more thoughts, or at least reiterate my thoughts on this finals match. I realize I didn't say much, but frankly, I don't think there's much to say that I didn't already say. Should have just practiced. I didn't play as well because I didn't have time to learn my deck that effectively. And yeah, it showed there. But I will have just kind of a whole wrap-up thought video of the ECL. No promises when that'll be up, but I am definitely going to probably film this one right after it and just kind of get it up when I can. So look forward to that. Consider subscribing and turn on the notification bell so you're notified when I do upload that, as well as any future Elestrals videos. And at the time of recording this, people are starting to get their product, mostly Australia, but we're so close and it's so exciting. So plenty of Elestrals content coming out real soon.